I'm Platonic, I'm a foundationalist. I know there's a universal truth. We act on it in different ways, some more productive than others, but that universal truth persists. It persists in the same way that the universe persists. It persists in the same way that life persists through evolution. That truth follows rules and is repeatable and predictable. That universal truth is what it is in itself, and it's up to us as agents to grab onto the implicated structures that extend from it. Those structures don't just come into existence when we grab onto them and try to make sense of them. They were always generating outputs for us to build on. We build on these structures, then we pretend the very reality we build upon is somehow less important than our categorization of it. It is what it is. It is us. It's literally everything we do. But we still think somehow that it can't exist without our divine guidance. It doesn't care about your category. It doesn't care what you believe. It just is, massive and existent. The options that we create between each other to live in peace are options delivered to us by our reality. Contractarianism implies a deterministic order, so it's a step in the right direction. Rational people will likely come to the same conclusions because of our determined reality and our study of consequence. What do we do about those who won't act rationally? Jail, I guess, where they belong. Let's talk about contractarianism. Contractarianism is a philosophical theory that suggests morality and political authority arise from a hypothetical agreement among individuals. It posits that people, being inherently self-interested, would rationally agree to certain rules of conduct to avoid the chaos and conflict of a state of nature. Key features of contractarianism. Social contract. At the heart of contractarianism is the idea that society's moral and political structures arise from an agreement or contract among individuals. This contract is often hypothetical, meaning it's not an actual historical agreement, but a thought experiment about what rational individuals would agree to under specific conditions. Mutual advantage. The agreements reached under a contractarian framework are designed to benefit all parties involved, reflecting a principle of mutual advantage. This means that a social contract is only valid if it provides benefits or at least ensures basic protections for all parties. State of nature. A common feature in contractarian theories is the idea of state of nature, a hypothetical scenario in which there's no government or organized society. By imagining what life would be like in such a state, contractarians argue that rational individuals would agree to form a government and abide by certain rules to avoid the chaos and insecurity of the state of nature. Modern contractarianism is often associated with philosophers like Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and more recently Jonathan Rawls. Each of these thinkers has a different interpretation of what the social contract entails, but all share the fundamental idea that the legitimacy of social rules derives from some sort of agreement. Types of contractarianism. Hobbesian contractarianism. Based on the ideas of Thomas Hobbes, this version emphasizes that in a state of nature, life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, and therefore rational individuals would agree to surrender certain freedoms to a sovereign authority in exchange for security and order. Lockean contractarianism. John Locke's version is more focused on natural rights and the idea that individuals have inherent rights to life, liberty, and property. The social contract in Locke's view is an agreement to form a government that protects these rights. Rawlsian contractarianism. John Rawls' theory of justice as fairness is a form of contractarianism. It imagines a hypothetical original position where rational individuals choose a principle of justice from behind a veil of ignorance, which prevents them from knowing their place in society. This ensures the principles chosen are fair and impartial. Contractarianism is influential in discussions of political authority, justice, and ethical theory, emphasizing the importance of consent and rational agreement in the formation of moral and political norms. Criticism of contractarianism. Unrealistic assumptions. Critics argue that the idea of a hypothetical agreement is unrealistic and that people may not always act rationally. Circular reasoning. Some argue that contractarianism simply rephrases the question of moral justification rather than providing a new answer. I actually do agree with this. I do think there's a deterministic, rational ethic that emerges out of our reality inevitably. Our very existence, not determined by us, projects this ethic outward and we grab onto it and symbolize it. But that doesn't change the projection just because we conceptualize it. I mean, sometimes it does, but not the concepts that are closest to the realities that don't change. Like fairness, like justice, like empathy, like goodness, abuse, theft, violence. All these ideas, no matter how hard we try, will be a part of what we are doing because our reality is the way it is. Unless we can change our entire reality, likely with technology, any utopia we are able to create will be done through productive education and conditioning of our environment. If you like this kind of philosophical subject matter, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel.